Have you ever heard about the boiling frog theory? I think it's really fascinating. They say if you throw a frog into boiling water, it will jump out right away. But if you put it in cold water and heat it slowly, it won't even realize what's happening until it's too late. That's exactly how manipulation works. It won't feel like someone grabbing your freedom, it feels like tiny drops of doubt, so subtle you barely notice, until suddenly you can't move. Hello, my name is Sam, and let's talk about gradual conditioning. When we think of manipulation, we usually imagine the cliches. Someone lying straight to your face, a friend trying to guilt trip you to get their way, a partner playing obvious mind games, things you can clearly point to and say that's manipulative. But real manipulation rarely looks like that. It's quieter, slower, and that's exactly why it's so dangerous. Think about it. Maybe it's a friend who always makes you feel guilty for having other priorities. You tell them you're busy with school or work, and they sigh, maybe I'm just not that important to you anymore, huh? And suddenly you feel selfish for doing most normal things ever. Or maybe it's a partner who constantly dismisses and invalidates your feelings. Or someone who twists the narrative and shifts all the blame onto you. So you start questioning yourself, or maybe even worse, blaming yourself. At first, these moments don't feel like manipulation, they feel like compromise, like keeping the peace. But that's the trick. The less you notice, the more it works.
Imagine your self trust / confidence starts here, and every time someone makes you question yourself unfairly, the line dips. Just a little, not enough to notice in the moment. But months later, or maybe even years later, you look back and realize the line isn't anywhere near where it started, and by then, it feels completely normal.
Psychologists call this gradual conditioning. It's the same principle behind the boiling frog theory. One small act of manipulation isn't enough to change you, but repeated over time, it builds a pattern. Here how it usually goes. They create a doubt about your choices, your memory, or even your feelings. They replace that doubt with their version of reality. And without realizing it, you start to rely on them for what's true. And once that happens, they don't need to push anymore. You have already learned to push yourself. For example, a partner first asks you to cancel one plan just for them, and later pressures you to stop seeing certain friends, and eventually isolates you completely. It ties closely with coercive control and normalization of abuse.